sit and think about it, I feel a little bit duped and conned and coerced.
That's what makes it so addictive.
Yeah.
And never ending.
TikTok is genuinely like the worst thing that has happened to
Yeah.
the world, like 100%. And it's just like all this noise and like these brands are just trying to sell to you and you have no control over what you're seeing. I literally give myself the ick sometimes because I'll be scrolling and then I'm like, oh, what am I doing?
Yeah.
Like, why am I on here? First off, we just want to give a disclaimer and say that this video won't be for everyone. I know that social media can have some benefits, but we're purely doing this for the people who are considering quitting social media, or just the people that might have become a little bit awakened to the effects that social media can have on us as a society. Also, everything that we're going to share in this video is just our opinion. We might present that in a factual way, but it is still just our opinion. And finally, we're not judging anyone who's addicted to social media because we're still really early on in our stages of quitting social media.
Yeah.
And there was a time when we were really active on social media, as you can see if you've watched our video about being influencers. So in this video we want to talk about quitting social media and the things that have led us to this moment of wanting to quit.
Yeah, I feel like it really has been an awakening. And it's crazy. Like, if anyone has tried to quit social media even just for a few days, I do think it opens your mind up to realising what social media is like.
Yeah, I think that as a society, we've become so used to the idea of just picking up our phones whenever we have a second of boredom that it's just become second nature, and people are so disconnected from each other because like families that used to get together and chat, it's now a silent room because everyone's just scrolling on the phone.
Yeah.
And it's just scary how normal it's become. And when you get rid of those social media apps and create space in your life for communication, it's kind of like, is there going to be anyone there to communicate with?
Yeah. It all comes down to money. And the reason why these apps are actually trying to entice us to use the apps and be addictive is because they're making money from the advertisers that use those apps. And then you have creators using the apps to produce their own content so that they can get collaborations and make money themselves.
Yeah.
And it's all this cycle, and that's what makes it so addictive.
Yeah.
And never ending, because there's so much content on there because the people producing the content want to make money.
Yeah.
And then
you could scroll forever.
yeah, and then the advertisers want to make money from posting ads because they know that social media is addictive. So it's all a big loop, really.
Yeah. And I think as well, that's something where if you sit and think about it, I feel a little bit duped and conned and coerced because when social media first became a thing, it was all about connection and it was about seeing what your friends were up to. And on Facebook, I remember, I was saying this to you the other day, I remember being able to scroll through all of your friends' statuses, pictures, updates, and get to the bottom in about 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And then
And
it's
that was
like,
it.
that's it for the day. I'll do the same tomorrow. And that was quite a nice little routine to see what my friends were up to.
Yeah.
But since then, things have changed so much, especially Facebook. Facebook has become a complete different platform. Like, it's now all about ads and sponsor posts and groups that you're not involved in. Like, I see a lot of like posts from them, and it's all designed to either make Facebook money or keep people on the app, and you can scroll forever, like we said. So that, in a way, like for me, I was disappointed about that when I realised, because what if you just want to see what your friends are up to and you don't want to be constantly consuming all of this meaningless BS?
You have
all
no
day?
choice anymore.
There, yeah.
And it's all fake as well. Like, especially on Facebook, the kind of posts that I come across, it's an AI generated image and a big long paragraph telling a story that's like supposed to have dramatic effect. And it's all fake so that you follow this account or group or whatever it is.
And normally the story is AI generated with ChatGPT as well.
I mean, that's another major problem because we both work in marketing, so we're really familiar with what AI content looks like. And it's just social media, especially Facebook, but Instagram captions as well.
Yeah.
Like, creators are using AI. I don't think there's a problem in using it to assist, but everyone sounds the same. The whole point of social media, going back to what we were saying before, is so that you could catch up with your friends and it was supposed to be real. It's like user generated content. And we've lost that as well now. So it's like you just sat scrolling going through.
mind-numbing.
Yeah.
Like when you're reading, like it's a lot of brands tend to do it, like ChatGPT generated content. And when it's big brands that are earning millions, I'm like, you don't have to do this. Like you have a team of people that can write it for you. And you're scrolling and you're reading and it's like delve into the diverse world of X, Y, and Z. And you scroll down and it's like the same thing again. At this point, it's like the only choice we have is to get off social media because we don't actually have a choice within the social media app as to what we're shown.
Yeah. I mean, even the images, like I remember seeing one that said, I think the caption said like orphanage in some random state in America in maybe like 1860, and it was like black and white image of loads of babies like all on the floor asleep, and you only had to zoom in to see that the babies had really weird facial features because the image was made with AI.
It's bizarre.
And it's just like, why are we consuming this? Why are we sharing this?
It's like the Santorini image. I don't know if
yeah.
anyone's seen that. It's like Santorini water park and it's an AI generated image. And if you zoom in on the people, like they've got like body parts missing and stuff because it's been made by AI. People believe it. And that's the scary thing.
I think what we're trying to say from this is, I mean, this video is going to be quite rambly because we're literally just talking off the top of our head about our experiences with social media. But from this, we're trying to say that everything is not as it seems on there, and we've lost the essence of social media back when people used to share genuine statuses about what they were up to and profile pictures that weren't really that heavily edited, and everybody was just a lot more natural than they are now. And I think that's another big thing for me. It's that everything is posed, everything is manufactured in a way to be as beautiful as it can be, and we have all of this real content now that's just, it's just supposed to be addictive, like we were saying before, and it's not true. It's not a true representation of people's lives.
I think people just, they're trying to manipulate social media algorithms so that they can get famous from social media, and in themselves, like they're losing a part of themselves. Like I was telling you about a YouTube video that I watched the other day. It was a YouTuber who had loads of followers, like hundreds of thousands. She was earning so much money from YouTube, and she did a video saying that she was quitting, and this was about 7 months ago, and she has quit. She stuck to her word, but she was saying about how she wasn't filming her life. It was like her life was created around YouTube, and like, oh, what can I do for the next YouTube video? It's just frustrating that by her doing that, she was getting loads of views and loads of subscribers, because like people like us were determined to be natural forever because we've gone down the influencer route, and we know how draining it is when you're just like trying to find content to share that might not particularly be what you want to share. I think there is a movement towards YouTubers like us that we just put out what we want to put out. We put out what feels right,
and it's a bit random, and we don't care.
But I can see how people get caught into the almost like the YouTube rat race of like sharing content that they want to do well that isn't authentically them, and in the end you're going to end up burning out and quitting YouTube, which is what happened to this girl. My idea for quitting social media, actually, I mean, I've known for a while that it's not the best for my mental health. I think a lot of people know that. Like if you're watching this video, you've probably come on here because you know that you've been getting into like doom scrolling and like watching things that like when you put down your phone you don't feel good about it, and you're like, like I know for me the amount of times that I've wanted to sit down and read a chapter of my book and I've ended up just like scrolling through like Facebook video
because it's so easy. Like we talk about this actually, like why do we go to use social media? And for me, I tend to do it when I'm working and I need a break from work, and I'm like, my brain is like so like tired right now, I just need something really
and
easy.
It's muscle memory, just pick up the phone.
Yeah, and just start using social media, and it's just like what you said, it's mind numbing. Like you can just keep scrolling down.
I think the short videos are actually the worst. Like TikTok is genuinely like the worst thing that has happened to the world. Like 100%. Like it's so bad for you. It's so addictive. Like I didn't have TikTok for long actually because I was so addicted to it that I would be on it for hours, and I was like, this is not good. And then for me, my addiction after that went to Facebook video because again, it's just like the endless scrolling.
I'm the same with Instagram Reels.
Yeah. And then I came across a video on YouTube a couple of months ago, and it was this guy who, I cannot for life remember who it was, but he was talking about how he's quit social media and how it's so bad for you. And he was probably only about 21 years old. So I can imagine it's probably more difficult to quit when you're of that age, because like everything is done on social media and it's like a social status thing. But he was talking about the benefits he'd got from it. Sometimes I feel like when you just hear somebody else pointing out the facts, it all clicks in your head, and it's like you've always known it, and it just takes one person to say it for you to realise, like, actually, I don't want to subscribe to being on social media. Like, all that we're doing from being on social media is like putting money in the pockets of the big advertisers and the big brands.
I think ads is the worst thing about social media, apart from the addictive nature and how it makes me feel after, which is just rubbish. Ads is definitely the worst thing for me, because I hate being sold to. I hate consumerism. Like, I'm really trying to avoid spending my money on something unless I genuinely want it. And it's hard to know whether you want something or not, because we're being influenced on social media by influencers, and then we have these ads as well that make us think that we want something when we don't. And it's getting worse and worse. Like, on Instagram, which is what I used to use the most, if I was going through someone's stories, it was like every other story was an ad.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Yeah, and sometimes you can click on an ad reel by mistake and keep scrolling down, and it's just ad reel after ad reel. Like, I don't know whether that was just on my phone, but and it's just like all this noise, and like these brands are just trying to sell to you, and you have no control over what you're seeing. Whereas if you don't use social media, you're not going to be exposed to those ads in the same way, because you can just like look away so you're not looking at the billboard. And like, I was speaking to my husband about this actually, and he said, oh well, my brain is actually like, it just tunes them out, like it doesn't even acknowledge them anymore. And I said to him, but that's not the point. The point is that they're still being like forced on you when you're using social media.
I think as well, going back to what you said about the noise and picking up your phone because it feels easy, it does feel easy, but then actually when you're like consuming so much content in such a short space of time, like if you think about it, a video 5 to 10 seconds long, next video 5 to 10 seconds long, next video 20 seconds long, that is a lot of content to consume in a very short amount of time. And even though it feels easy to pick up your phone, I actually think that social media was one of the things that was contributing towards my burnout, because I was working so hard with work, and then every time I was giving myself a break, I was picking up my phone and scrolling, and your brain isn't resting from that.
And I think as well, just like the lack of control, obviously there are algorithms, but the lack of control over the content that you're consuming means that your brain is getting filled with stuff that might be annoying. Like, sometimes I watch videos that are really annoying, and even if I flick through, I've already seen them.
Or something else as well, because you can't control what you're seeing. I've seen videos with like animals getting hurt, and
that's Facebook is bad for that.
Yeah, things that I don't want to see, because being like the massive empaths that we are, I try and stay away from any content that will make me feel sad, because it will literally upset me for days. So when you see something that you're just scrolling, you don't expect to see it, it will stick with you. And sometimes a video will affect my mood without me even knowing. And then it'll only be later on that I'm trying to think back, and I'm like, why am I feeling like this? And then I'll be like, oh, well, I watched that video about the poor person, you know. And
I mean, even if the content isn't bad, it can be so meaningless. And I think recently I'd really become aware of how meaningless a lot of the stuff was that I was consuming. And like, are you ever like scrolling through and then you suddenly think like, bored, like I'm so bored right now, and you just like put the phone down and you're like, you kind of have like an it moment where you're like,
oh, if anyone knows the Nigel Farage meme, boring.
That like goes in your head, and you put your phone down and you're like, like I've just spent 10 minutes just looking at utter crap.
I literally give myself the ick sometimes, because I'll be scrolling and then I'm like, oh, what am I doing? Like, why am I on here? I think as well, when you hear somebody else on social media and you're not on it at the time, so like if I'm working and my partner Milo is like scrolling on social media and you can just hear it, that kind of gives you like, it's like you're looking at it through a window and you see it for what it really is, and that kind of gives you the ick as well, because it's like, it's just songs and people like trying to like keep your attention, like it's just so fake.
And not to call Brad out, even my husband, but he listens to a lot of like dramatic like fighting videos, like where, you know, like just where someone records someone on the street like having a go at someone else, and it's like, I don't want that like clouding my mental space, like I just don't want to hear that.
But I think like going back to what we said at the beginning, like I really do want to stress that we're not judging people, because it is so easy to get sucked in social media.
And like the amount of crap that I've watched,
the amount of crap that we've both watched, and like who knows how well this is going to go. We might end up being sucked back into it again in the future. So in the video that I watched about the guy who quit social media, he made a really good point, because the first thing that he said is that social media makes your brain only responsive to quick dopamine. So slow dopamine, which is like finishing a task, cleaning the house, you know, stuff like that, you kind of like don't want the slow dopamine anymore when you know that you can get it quick because you pick up your phone and you get a dopamine rush. So it's almost like you have to retrain your brain to appreciate the slow dopamine again. And this is something where I think me and you were actually okay at that, but I do know with my boyfriend, he's quite addicted to Facebook videos, and I think for him it will be more of an effort to like retrain his brain. Another interesting thing he said as well is that like you have to get comfortable with the idea of being bored again. And again, like this is a conversation that me and my partner had, because he's actually recently just deleted Facebook, which I'm so happy about, and he was like, oh, but what should I do with my time now? And I was like, yeah, what should you do? Like it's not a bad thing, it's a good thing. Like you have so much time now to do whatever you want, like meaningful things like starting a hobby or doing a side business. And like the guy said, being okay with being bored, because in boredom comes ideas, because then it's like, well, what can I actually do rather than just filling my time with meaningless social media scrolling. Those small moments that you usually take for social media, figuring out what to do instead, I found that quite difficult. Like at first I would just pick up my phone because it was like the reflex. I'd pick it up and then be like, oh, there's nothing on here,
and just kind of look at it. And I said to you, like, because YouTube is the only thing that we're keeping, because long form YouTube videos for me is like TV.
And we're not watching shorts. That's like the rule with keeping YouTube.
But I did find that I would just be scrolling through YouTube videos, just looking at the titles, just so that I was still giving my brain that little bit of something. Whereas now, like, I try to just not have my phone next to me when I'm working, and if I need a break, I'll just like literally walk to the window and look outside for a bit, because that's like, it's mind numbing in the same way, but it's real. Like, you're just looking at nature outside.
I also have my book now next to my laptop, and if I need a break from work, I'll pick up my book and I'll read a couple of pages, and then like you said, I'll look out of the window and I'll watch the world go by, and then I'll go back to do my work again. And it just feels more, I don't want to say productive, that's not the right word, it feels more real than just going down a scroll hole. And I do think as well, it doesn't take you away from work completely like your phone can, because like if I'm in a scroll hole on my phone, sometimes like I can take an hour, because I work from home, I can take an hour just scrolling on my phone, and then I'm like, I've just had my lunch break, like accidentally.
I don't think social media as it was created is actually bad, and I wish that there was a way that we could go back to how it was before, because I will say that something that I've found even now after deleting social media is I suddenly feel less connected, and I think that's something that social media did do really well. Like, it connected me with my friends, and also just like content that I was interested in, like the content creators that I follow on Instagram. Like, I don't follow any influencers, I just follow like friends and a few celebrities who I care about and I enjoy seeing their lives.
Things that resonate with you, like, you know, celebrities that might have like similar interests to me and you.
Yeah, and for me it was enjoyable being able to keep up with that, and now I do feel like there's a little bit of a hole in my life in that I can't see that. Like, for example, we're at Musical Con at the moment, and we have no way of being able to kind of like see who has been there and like have a look at their posts, because we're just not on social media anymore.
And unless they're on YouTube and they make a video, but it's like we're missing out on seeing things in real time. And to add as well, we quit social media probably about a week ago, so like for anyone who's wondering how long it's been so far, we're still in the very, very early stages right now.
But I just wish that there was a way that we could go back to the social media as it was before. And I was actually thinking last night, like, why doesn't someone just create an app, and the whole purpose and benefits of the app is that you don't get exposed to ads, and maybe you don't also get exposed to like the influencer content, and it really does go back to like just connecting with your friends.
I thought about that, and then I thought it'll change in the end.
How would they make money? Because these platforms are really expensive to run. So they make money through ads. So it's like, how would you make money from it so that it could exist? But then there's like so many people out there like us who would really want that app. So
I just thought like the cynic in me thought if somebody made that, it would just, they would bring everyone onto it and everybody would be like, oh my god, this is so great, and then they would just change it, like the way that Facebook has changed.
Like, I thought maybe about like maybe you could charge a subscription fee, but that's a problem in itself. Like, everything has a subscription fee nowadays, and no one's going to want to pay when you can just use other apps for free because you're being advertised to all the time.
Exactly. I also feel like social media has taken us away from real life, and it's kind of like desensitized us to things. I'm gonna try and explain this as well as I can without being offensive and also without being demonetized, because there's some words that I can't say. Platforms where people are posting naked pictures and videos of themselves. I'm just like, how have we got to that point? I don't want to say that I'm judging, because people have got to make a living. And it's like, I'm not trying to tear anyone down, like men or women. But I also just find it really, really sad and scary.
It is weird, but again, it comes back to what we said earlier about money. It all comes back to money. People know that they can make money from it. And
Yeah.
I think that takes priority. On the topic of money, actually, just to change the subject a little bit, I constantly get barraged with ads from random people like me and you who are selling courses, like get rich quick courses for everything under the sun. And this is something that's like increased and increased, especially this year. And I think it's because if it's not an MLM, it's very close to being an MLM, because...
Do you mean like a pyramid scheme?
Yeah. So basically like
Avon?
Yeah, so you're attracting people in with this idea that you can earn money from home and it's really easy and you can make like 4 or maybe even 5 figures a month, and it sounds amazing. And then you become involved in that, and then it's your job to promote it to other people. So you're doing the same thing, and it just like expands. And I feel like that's a lot of the ads that I was getting recently. And that to me also just seems really fake, and I just don't want to see it. And it's just crazy that those kind of adverts can just get put online with probably no proof needed that these people have actually been successful from running businesses from home. I just think it needs to be mandated more. Like, that was just something that I got sick of seeing eventually. But for the people that are still using social media, not everybody is like that savvy, and that's like not meant to be rude. It's just like not all social media users are going to be savvy about business and like what it takes to start a business and stuff. And so if something seems easy, they're going to spend money on a course that doesn't really teach them that much.
It's just selling a dream, isn't it? Yeah. To summarise, we've been off social media now for about a week. We don't have plans on returning. We're going to try and do 1 month, and then at the 1 month point we will do another video updating you guys on how we've got on, whether we're going to continue it, which I hope we will.
Me too.
And yeah, our general thoughts at the minute is just social media nowadays, it's just really bad, and already we've seen benefits from quitting. So we'll keep you guys updated, and we hope that you enjoyed this video and found it insightful. And even if you're not like ready to quit for yourself, because like we're not trying to force everyone else like, oh my god, you need to quit. This is just us sharing our opinions, and even if it's giving you something to think about, or you know, if you don't agree with some of the things we said, let us know in the comments. Kindly let us know in the comments.
I was gonna say, this is actually a really good place to kind of start a conversation about this, because we have so much that we could say that we've not even said in this video. Like, we could probably ramble for over an hour about this. So I'd be really interested in hearing other people's opinions as well.
Like if you've quit social media, how did you find it? And also what platforms you think are the worst, because like for me and you, we say we've quit social media, but we've kept YouTube, we've kept WhatsApp, because like that's purely just for communication, so it doesn't have the same kind of draw of like you being sucked into it.
And we only had Instagram and Facebook to start with. Like, I do not know how there's people out there who actually use Instagram, Facebook, X, Threads, or TikTok. Like, imagine having all of those apps on your phone. Like, if that's you, let us know in the comments, because I'd love to know like what your mental state is like.
I wouldn't get anything done.
I know.
But yeah, we hope you enjoyed this video, and please do start a discussion in the comments. And I want to reiterate that everything we said in this video is just our opinion. We don't want to offend, we don't want to judge or blame anyone for their life and their choices. And yeah, we'll see you in our next video.
Now I realize it was always supposed to be.